Yes, it's right.
That must be the microphone out there.
It is, Jed.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's great. Okay, welcome everyone. Do we have anyone to move on the receive and note the minutes on the 18th of March 2020? I just had a change to that voting. Ms. Kelsey. Just something since. Oh,
This,
or the new minutes.
this is probably in here. This one.
That was on. There's been a change to these ones. One of the voting was not corrected.
This was on our desk here.
Yeah.
So we can. Oh, was it on the desk? Was it?
Yeah.
This one.
Page 36, I think.
There was a crash in the minutes software or something, and that's why there was information lost. Yeah, that's right. It was 8. Yeah, that's it. So that's good. Everyone had a chance to see the difference in page 36.
And councillors, because this was the previous term of council, I did circulate them to the councillors, so really councillors receiving those.
Yeah, so what it was for everyone's benefit, Councillor Flynn declared a conflict and left the room, but we had the vote as 8-0 as if he was there, or 9, I think it was actually. So now it's gone to 7, which makes sense, because I think Councillor McMullen had left at 7. So that's really the difference there.
36.
Yeah, page 36, the Turf Club, yes. So Councillor Flynn, even in his last minutes, declared a conflict, and it was adding in their vote, which obviously you can't do, so. So I think there's a lot of things. Page 41 was. Okay, so would someone like to move on these ones that we just were handed that were on our updated ones? Yeah.
Mr Mayor, I'll move on the updated minutes of the meeting. The day?
It'd only be day.
20.
Yeah.
Forgotten the date.
So you're going to
18th of March.
18th on the 18th.
receive and note those?
Receive and note them.
Yep.
Updated minutes.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition to the motion? Does we wish to speak to the motion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? So the new councillors can vote on this.
Just receiving and noting.
Receiving and noting.
So you're not actually saying that you're just receiving them because you don't have any knowledge. So yes, we've got to vote on it. So all those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to, we have some of the confirmation of the minutes post-election meeting 16th of April 2020. Page 44. Would anyone like to move on those minutes?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'll move the minutes on for the setting of, for the post-election meeting on the 16th of April 2020.
We have a seconder for that motion. Councillor Burkett, any opposition to the motion? Does anybody wish to speak to the motion? Go to the vote then. All those in favour? 9-0. Declarations of conflict of interest. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Yep, please go ahead.
I declare a material personal interest on item 10.5, as I am a member and director of a superannuation fund, and therefore I'll be dealing with this matter by leaving the room.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any others?
I'd have to declare an interest too in a I'm a chairperson of a superannuation fund as well, self-managed superannuation fund.
Mr. Mayor, can we suspend standing orders to discuss this? I'd like to ask if I can.
Would you like to?
I'll move it, we suspend standing orders.
We have a seconder for that. I'll second that. Well, Councillor Burkett was first. All those in favour? 9-0.
I'd just like to ask Councillor Guthrie, I'll stand correctly if I'm wrong, but this is about a particular superannuation fund. With that, something, a conflict of interest would only come in if that's the one you're with.
Well, I've only got a self-managed superannuation fund.
I thought this is about a particular fund, isn't it?
I can't provide legal advice, Councillor.
No, well, it says
I've
LGIA superannuation for Queensland.
And see, I'd prefer to err on the side of caution if we're suspending standing motions. I prefer to err on the side of caution. And if there is a perceived conflict of interest, I'd rather step away, even if there's no real conflict of interest.
So you're saying really for your own super fund?
Yes, I've set up a self-managed superannuation fund.
Just go
And see, I don't know the legalities of this, and as I said, if there's a perceived conflict of interest, I'd rather step away and let discussions happen.
Yeah.
I don't know the legalities.
Well, by all means, you're welcome to get legal advice, and you will have the Integrity Commissioner. That's a free service that you could ask the question and get advice. The only thing I would say is I've never heard, I have a super fund too, I've never heard anyone leave the room because of that, but you're quite welcome to do that if you feel like that, but that's probably a fairly big stretch.
Yeah, I think so, because to be honest, it's only just family trust.
But, you know, in this room, it's better to get out than not be sure, and you can get advice, and maybe next time you'll be in, you're quite welcome to do that, that's your right. And none of us can give anyone legal advice, but I've never heard that before. Whereas Councillor O'Neill, obviously I think is on the board of the super fund, that's being talked about here, so.
with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, no one here knows what legal advice I've received, and the advice that I've received is, in terms of my material personal interest, is not in relation to LGIA being listed in the document.
Oh, okay, sorry. But yes, but you're quite welcome to declare that, as obviously whatever you would like, and then But yeah, the Integrity Commission is great because you can ask advice. And
Mr. Mayor, just with in regards to the pool reports, the Great Artesian Spa, I'm on the management committee for Bringer Action Group. For that report, would I have to leave the room for that?
Well, there again, you'd get legal advice, but because you're in that report, there again, you may wish to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I am looking to resign from Bringer Action Group as an executive, so but I haven't got around to doing that, so I'll leave the room for that one.
Okay, so we'll keep going with the declaration. So are you happy to on that item? What item?
10.5.
10.5. So you're happy to, is it a perceived conflict?
I think it's a perceived conflict. I don't think it is a conflict of interest, but it could be a perceived one.
and you'll deal with that one then. Okay, Councillor Burkett, did you want to declare yours?
Yeah, in regards to the Great Artesian Spa monthly report, management report, I think I have a conflict of interest with that, being on the executive, so I'll leave the room for that one.
Okay. Any others, councillors? Sure.
Councillors, just had a request come through. Could you use a little bit a louder voice
All right.
be picked up on the microphone? Just a little bit louder than your normal conversational voice.
I might regret that.
Appreciate it.
And that would be good. I can't quite hear everything down this end either,
Okay, thank you.
that side of the desk.
Righto. Any other conflicts of interest? Just one, Councillor Ladbrokes that's coming up, I don't think it's here yet, is to do with Humphreys Road, so just to make you aware that you may have a conflict about that one, but we don't have an item number yet, I don't think, to do a conflict, and you haven't seen the report yet, but just to make council aware of that.
It was one that the Mayor requested yesterday afternoon, I think it was, Mr Mayor, to come through to today. But the Mayor generally has a break to allow councillors the opportunity to review.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct, but just to make you aware of that.
And
Yes,
just while we're on the
Yes.
agenda, Mr Mayor, as well, that I also propose to remove the quarterly review item from this agenda as well. The council's happy with that.
okay. Right, so we have no more declarations of conflict of interest. Okay, so nothing on the table, petitions. So do you want to remove that one next?
If you mind.
Yes, sure. Okay, so what item number is it?
You're talking about the quarterly report, C17.
Councillors, what I propose is to circulate that to you in the next few days, and then happy for questions to be received once you've had time to review.
Okay, righto. So can we have someone to move that C17, the Q3 report, be removed from the agenda?
Mr Mayor, I'll move that item C17 be removed from the agenda.
We have a seconder, Councillor O'Neill. No opposition to the motion. No, who doesn't wish to speak to the motion? I don't imagine. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, so if there's nothing further, we will move on to the agenda. Item 10.1, standing orders, policy and meeting procedures. And I would like to move option B, that we council adopt the template standing orders and model meeting rules provided by the Department of Local Government, Racing and Multicultural Affairs. Yes. And I'd also be happy to put in point 2 that a report be presented to a future council if extra inclusions are required. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Yeah, more, you know, like if they're not. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the orders, but you know, like you said, they're not complete set. You know, right. Yeah, I'm happy to have, or any amendments could be considered. And just for all the new councillors, these are just basically meeting procedures and meeting rules for them. So that's what I'm suggesting, is that. Okay, now do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Edwards, any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? Yes, certainly do. I'm very comfortable with these as the chairman as well, that we all have to abide by, and I think it will lead to even a more open local government, and certainly supportive of these. Anybody else want to speak? Well, we'll go to the vote then. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 10.2, confidentiality procedure. We have a mover. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that the procedure be 1, received and contents noted, 2, adopted for use during the council term of 2020 to 24, and 3, placed under the policy section of council's website with the title Maranoa Regional Council confidentiality procedure.
We have a seconder. Councillor McMullen. Any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Page 136, 10.4, elected members, PAYG, eligible.
109.
109, sorry. To go ahead. 10.3, Local Government Remuneration Commission schedule commencing the 1st of July 2020. I would like to move that Council note the findings of the Local Government Remuneration Commission review, and Council set the remuneration of the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors at current levels after July 1st, 2020 for the period of 12 months. Do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? So basically what this does, councillors, is set our remuneration. The Commission's review was an increase of 2%, and we would not be accepting in the light, obviously, I'm moving this on the light of other conditions and many other factors that the remuneration would stay the same. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 10.5, councillor superannuation.
No. 10.4.
10.4, sorry.
136.
136. 10.4, elected members PAYG, eligible local government body. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that council not be considered as an eligible local governing body under the Tax Administration Act 1953 for taxation purposes.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen. Although, any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.5, councillor superannuation. Just note that councillor O'Neill is leaving the room. And
Just
yes,
out of perception.
yes, that's right, and councillor Guthrie is leaving the room. Okay, we have a mover for this motion.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council, 1, take part in a superannuation scheme for its councillors. 2, pay contributions proportionate to contributions paid by council to the local government superannuation scheme for its standard permanent employees on behalf of each councillor.
We have a seconder. Councillor Hancock. Any opposition to the motion? Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No thanks.
We'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Item 10.6, position of the Chief Executive Officer. Yes, so I am happy to move. I will move option 2 in accordance with clause 11.1.6b of the Chief Executive Officer's contract of employment. Council terminate the contract with effect from the close of business on Tuesday the 5th of May 2020, and B, there be payment in lieu of notice, and council delegate the mayor the power to give the effect to the decision in accordance with the term of the contract on council's behalf. And point 3, appoint the Deputy CEO to the position of acting CEO or interim CEO, effective on the close of business on the 5th of May 2020. And then point 4, thank the CEO for service to Maranoa Regional Council. And I think that would be it. Now, do we have a seconder for that motion?
No,
Councillor McMullen. Any opposition to the motion? Okay, we're all able to speak, so who would wish to speak?
I've got questions first.
Please, go ahead.
So just on page 151, it references here a meeting was initiated with the report's author being the CEO by the Mayor and Deputy Mayor on the afternoon of the 16th of April 2020. Can I ask what led to that? And then I'll have other questions.
It was, so basically a view that it is always good in a new term to look for a direction, and before anything was brought to council in any way, to have a discussion, a discussion, and I can say at no time did I say in that meeting that I was speaking on behalf of council. It was purely my personal view, and the discussion was had about my view that we'd be looking for a different direction for council. Do you have another question?
And on whose authority did you or the Deputy Mayor act on?
Nobody's authority. It was just a conversation on that basis, and the report has been generated on the suggestion of the CEO that to bring the report to council, and of course anything to do with employment is to do with the full council.
And so, Mr Mayor, if you're opening an opportunity for discussion, my concerns on this particular element is that you and the Deputy Mayor have acted without the authority of the council. The Local Government Act is very clear. It is this council's, it's on the council's authority to appoint or not appoint a CEO. And I have some real concerns that both yourself and the Deputy Mayor have acted without raising this with council. I have previous experience in situations to which is before us, and I don't believe that the appropriate process has been followed to the point where, if I'm correct, the 16th of April 2020 was in fact our first meeting of this council last Thursday. We met from 9 a.m. through till approximately 2 p.m. I'm assuming that this meeting happened after that, and it was not raised at that opportunity with your councillors to get a sense of what their view were individually and then collectively, for you to have the authority as Deputy Mayor and as Mayor to approach the CEO and have a meeting. I'm learning about this meeting in this report, but I'm also learning about it because of the articles that I've seen appear in the Western Star over the last 48 hours. So I as one individual councillor sitting around this table, have some real concerns that the appropriate process has not been followed at all.
Mr Mayor, could I speak?
Yeah, please.
I would, I would strongly recommend you check your legal advice, because that's not the legal advice I was given.
I haven't sought legal advice, Councillor McMullen. I've referred to the Local Government Act.
Well, that's what that's for the legal advice I got, that everything was done above board.
And I'd like to also answer that question too. And there again, I will say, in that meeting, never spoke on behalf of council. Never did anything more than a courtesy conversation. And that courtesy conversation it was done before anything was instigated, out of respect for people. And I also received legal advice on whether that courtesy conversation could be had, not on behalf of council, not directing the council, CEO in any way, just purely having a courtesy conversation, and never directed any action or anything, but was to say that, out of conversation it was suggested to bring the report to council. Now, if councillors would like to have a further discussion about this in any way, quite happy to have that. the suggestion out of the conversation. And yeah, now is the time to say, yeah, so basically, and I did not want, before I had done anything through council, I wanted to have the conversation directly first.
And through you, Mayor, what was the conversation that you and the Deputy Mayor had with the CEO?
It was just saying that we're looking for a different direction, and really that was yeah, I would class it as a courtesy initial conversation, nothing more. And it was suggested, as you read in the report, about seeking continuity or clarity. This is what this is about. We have had discussions with our staff before, and if you wish to have that, I'm quite happy to adjourn the meeting so we can have a discussion.
And that new direction that you speak of, was that to terminate the contract?
To look for a, yeah, because I want to go in a different direction, time for a change in the position, and really it was just a personal view to let the CEO be aware of before anything happened, out of respect, nothing else.
And if I can, and then I'm sure you'll want to hear from the other councillors, there lies my concern. You've tabled that you want a new direction, which in turn is the termination of the contract. You didn't table it at the meeting to be discussed with your councillors last week. You may have, in fact, had conversations with councillors, of which I'm not privy to, but the process would have been to table that at last Thursday's meeting to get a sounding and direction from your council as to the approach that you would take in a subsequent meeting.
I believe this is the sounding, but I had no expectations out of the meeting except for to, out of courtesy, tell, you know, the CEO first of my plans before I brought it to council, and I made that very clear. And the suggestion was that the CEO bring this report forward. It wasn't from me, so it wasn't directing, but yes, and now is the time, if you wish for more discussion or anything, now is the time, but it was stated that clarity and is important, and hence why, and as you know, I've got no ability to bring reports to council except for councillor reports and so forth, or used to be the Merrill Minute and so forth. But I think the things such as this need to be handled with a great deal of carefulness. Any other questions, Councillor O'Neill?
I've raised my concerns, and I think we've got a major problem here, and I'll be reserving any other comments until a later.
Does anyone wish else to speak?
May I have a question?
Yeah, please.
And then may I speak?
Yeah, please.
So my question is, Mr Mayor, has there been discussions with other councillors in this room regarding the report prior to the agenda coming out? I personally only learned about it when the agenda came out. I was just wondering if the other councillors...
I'm happy to say the first I heard of it was on the Western Star on whichever night it appeared. My son said to me, have you seen what's on the Western Star? I said, no, I haven't. And that was the first I heard, the first conversation, or the first I heard.
George, did you know about it before the agenda?
No.
When did
Well, I actually rang John and spoke to him about it when I read it, because I was concerned that I don't have enough information to vote, because 6 of us don't have the information. That was my concern. So, and we discussed it, and he couldn't help me and I couldn't help him, as in, how do you get past voting for something you know nothing about? So I put myself in the position of the people that voted for me. What did they want? What do they want? Not particularly what I want, but what do they want me to do? And I came up with the answer to speak for the motion, in the fact that I believe they want a new start. They want Tyson. He got a vast majority to be mayor, so therefore they backed him. And if he needs someone else as a CEO to get forward in the next 4 years, I'm happy to back him as a first step. So that was my push. But that was me coming to my decisions myself. But I did agonise over it all weekend.
Yeah, I read it in the minutes, and I have spoke to people.
So prior to this meeting?
No, just.
Okay.
Well, I just, how
Can
come
I-
it ended up on Facebook and all that? Where did that come from? Did that come from
because
Jeff or?
No, because it was.
This is an open agenda.
It's an open agenda.
Yes.
So if it was in here, it wouldn't have.
And like the other thing, Mr. Mayor, with the CEO, in the last term, I mean, we all have to work together. How much support have you had from the CEO?
Oh no, well, it's not really about that, it's more about, it's, CEO sort of should not be one way or the other. I just honestly believe it's time for a different direction, and I certainly thank the CEO for all the efforts. But if councillors, if we want to adjourn and have a discussion, you're quite welcome to, then we can come back to the debate that's happened before. Now's the time to say something if you wish that to happen. But anyway, would anyone else like to
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak against the
Yes,
motion, if that's
sure,
okay.
please.
Is that where I'm
Yeah,
at?
no, you're welcome.
Sure. Because I too have some concerns regarding the motion on the table. I believe that it would actually be irresponsible and, quite frankly, disrespectful, not only to the CEO, but to the 6 new councillors who are sitting around this table, who this is their first ordinary meeting, and they're having to make a decision like this with no basis of their view, because they have not had a chance to work with the CEO as a councillor. So I can't see where they can base their view to make any other decision than honouring the existing contract of the CEO. I think it would be irresponsible for us as elected members to make such a huge decision now at this time when our community is facing, not our community, but Australia is facing a pandemic, where we're going into uncertain economic times within our community. And not to mention our staff who are facing that as staff with their jobs, and they need some stability in this council. They have a new council that they're working with, and I believe that honouring the CEO's existing contract provides that stability for our organisation. We are elected by the people, so we need to make sure that our staff are part of the people that we are considering when we make these decisions as councillors. The other concern I have is the decision to not honour the CEO's contract and go with option B has a financial impact on council, and that financial impact I haven't been provided with. So I actually don't know the cost it's going to cost to go with the motion that the Mayor has on the table at the moment. So, and lastly, Mr. Mayor, I believe we need to honour the CEO's existing contract, because I think it would be unjust not to, because respectfully, in your campaign, you stood at each community meeting and assured the community that there'd be no sacking of staff members, and to go with anything other than honouring the existing CEO's contract would be actually breaking a promise that you made to your communities. And so therefore, I would be very happy to review this again when the CEO's contract is up for review, and on the basis that I can form a responsible and just decision on this matter. Thank you.
We certainly bring up a point that you'd like the financial issue with that, which leads us to money as well. So, CEO, should that be declared to go in, recategorised to go into close because of that? We're going to get information about it.
Yes, so council, that you can resolve to have part or the conversation in closed session if you would like to go into the detail.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to speak for the motion. On more than one occasion I've met with the CEO and with respect put my concerns, I guess, to the CEO back when the contract was up for renewal last time, and again when we met on whatever date it was the other day. And that was, you know, CEO knows how I feel, so I'm not being smart or anything, but and I was surprised to see that this was let out as an open agenda. That's fine, I don't have a problem with it, but that's where at that point in time I hadn't discussed it with anyone other than the Mayor and the CEO, of course, and then it went viral on Facebook and that because it was an open agenda. So.
I'm happy to speak about the financial implications in a closed meeting, but I actually think it's important to be able to speak in an open meeting because especially it was an election promise that you made to the people, Mr Mayor, so I think it's important that they can hear what this decision is very, very important decision, and so I think that it should not be taken behind the closed doors. I think that certain aspects of it, like our financial implications, should.
Any councillor not having the financial information, so can we move to? So just so all councillors know, all decisions are in open. They cannot be made in closed. So the decision and the debate will still be in open. But I think I'll move a motion that we move this item 10.6 into close so we can receive the financial, as Councillor Hancock asked the question, we need to be able to receive that information. And then obviously we'll come back out of closed and then we'll come back into open and the decision will be made. Do we have a second to move it into closed so we can receive the information?
Mr Mayor, when we talk about decision, we want to talk monetary figures, is that what we?
Correct.
Well, we can't talk monetary figures in an open. No, well, I'll move. We go into closed to discuss the monetary figures, if that's okay.
Well, we'll move the item into closed. It's the first thing, is it?
Oh.
Or do you just leave it in open?
The item, Mr Mayor, the item.
Just in case councillors want to ask any other questions about the contract specifically, did you want to limit it to the money or just anything about
Mayor, my question is, never once have we been able to move an open session into closed before. I'm quite happy to go into closed to discuss monetary figures, but it being an open agenda, it has to stay an open, I believe. It's always been that.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, but it's an open council.
Yeah, no, so we can do that, so I'm happy to leave it in open, but to move into closed to discuss financial implications. And you're happy to second that, Matt?
Just what was the motion again? To move into closed and move the item?
Closed to discuss this item, which CEO's got legal advice to say we can do.
The council is able to do that.
Move the item into closed.
Yeah.
Move the item into closed or?
No, so move into the closed to just, there's a number of particular sections that would allow you to do that if council so chose.
So the item is staying in open, but we're moving into closed
Yes,
to
yes.
discuss certain.
So, yeah, that's my intention, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So does it become a late closed or what's it?
No,
no,
it's council's resolving to discuss particular elements of that.
Right.
Are we moving into close to discuss the contract, which would have all the information, the financial implications and the contract information in it? Would that be correct, Madam CEO?
So just bear with me, councillors, for one moment.
While that's happening, can I just ask, this is the second term of amalgamation, first meeting, the CEO was dismissed then. What was the procedure then?
Before my time.
So what? So
I don't know, I thought there was a CEO who was dismissed in the second term of amalgamated. Is that the case?
Yeah, that was.
Well, I don't know anything about it, but yeah, prior to the current CEO being employed, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the first meeting in the new term, 2012, 13.
I'll say, Councillor Burkett, due to the item that we just moved in 10.2, I am not going to discuss that here. And if you refer to 10.2, which is the confidentiality procedure, you'll understand why.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the CEOs for
So,
legal advice.
but for the benefit of the new councillors, a local government or committee may resolve that a meeting be closed to the public if its councillors or members consider it necessary to close the meeting to discuss, and it's A through to H. A is the appointment, dismissal, or discipline of employees. B is industrial matters affecting employees. C is the local government's budget. H is other business for which a public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of the local government or someone else, or enable a person to gain a financial advantage. So there's a number of opportunities there.
Thank you, CEO.
It then goes on to say a resolution that a meeting be closed must state the nature of the matters to be considered while the meeting is closed, and a local government or committee must not make a resolution other than a procedural resolution in a closed meeting.
Okay, so, and I'll state the matters would be to do with the employment contract and financial issues. And you happy to second that, Deputy Mayor?
So just for clarity, Mr Mayor, is that H, other business for which a public discussion would likely prejudice the interests of the local government or someone else, or enable a person to gain a financial advantage, and local government's budget as well.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Yeah. I'm happy to put a few down.
Appointment, dismissal, or discipline of employees, industrial matters affecting employees, the local government's budget, and other business.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll put those. You happy for those points?
Just clarify.
That's clause,
clarification or something.
sorry, just before we go, that's section 275 of the local government regulation, 2012.
Please go ahead,
So
Councillor.
this officers report meeting date was ordinary 22nd of April 2020. So when did these come out on the 7th of April? These minutes. When were they issued?
You mean the meeting agenda?
Yeah, the meeting agenda.
The meeting agenda? Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
So surely they have to go through a council meeting before they become open, don't they? Like, you keep saying they're an open meeting, but they should be confidential until we sit down and talk about them before they go to the public. So how do people find out about these things?
No, I
Is
think
this-
it's
is
put
this
in
on
the,
the website?
put in the open agenda.
Yeah, sorry, the open agenda, how come everyone knows about
It's
this?
on the website.
Yeah, but should it be on the website until it
It
goes
is if
through
it's an
council?
open agenda.
Are you saying it should have been put in the closed section?
No, I'm just saying it should have been discussed by us before it became, no. Have I got it wrong, have I? So I thought it had gone to the public before it even came to the
No,
meeting.
it's just part of the agenda
Yeah,
for today.
so the agenda
Yes.
goes out to the public
Correct.
prior to the meeting. Okay, that's all I want to clarify.
Open agenda.
All,
Open agenda
all
without.
items are listed.
That's right.
So irrespective of whether it was in open or closed, it would have been listed, the position of CEO, as an agenda item for today.
Up on the website, so people would have seen it in the
Yes.
community before it even came to this meeting.
Yes, the fact that the position of CEO
Yeah.
was listed for today's agenda.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but anyway, that's the way it is. I just thought this maybe it was a confidential sort of thing from the start. That's all I'm saying. You know, I'm not moving
Should
it or I'm just commenting. That's all.
No.
I just thought maybe it should have made it a confidential thing.
But, so Councillor McMullen, you're happy with those reasons? Okay, we'll go to the vote and, if any opposition to that, we'll go to the vote then. All those in favour of moving into closed? 9-0. We on again? I'd like to move that, that 10.5 be laid on the table until the next meeting, to receive questions of legal advice. Laid on the table till a future meeting.
Sorry, Mr.
10.6,
10 point which? Oh, good.
10.6, sorry.
All right.
10.6, lay on the table to a future meeting to receive questions of legal advice. So I'm going to put that to the vote, so councillors know you don't need a seconder for that because it's a procedural motion.
What was it for further legal advice?
For questions of legal advice on this matter, and I believe this is really important. So all those in
Can
favour?
I ask a question? So, legal advice for who? Are we to go and get legal advice?
No, I'm going to receive legal advice about this matter, and I'll be sharing that with council.
Yeah, so for the whole council.
Yep.
So you're going to get
Correct.
legal advice for the whole council?
Yep, correct. And I'll be sharing it with the whole council.
At the next meeting, Mr Mayor? Sorry,
Yes.
I just want to be really clear because I'm new.
I think I'll be sharing it before the next meeting.
Okay.
All those in favour? All those against? 9-0. Righto. Now, moving on to the next item. That's the last of the close, open, I think, is that correct?
Point 1,
13.1.
page 194.
13.1. 14.1.
Yeah, what number?
157.
157. Thank you.
Oh.
13.1, request the sponsorship, Roma and Family History Society Incorporated.
We don't have a director.
Do you want me to get the directors?
Yes, yeah, that'd be good.
I was going to say, I
I'll
don't
do that.
know where they live.
So where were you thinking you were going, John?
Well, I just thought I was the class monitor.
Look careful, I'm sure you're fine.
But
request for sponsorship, Roma Family History Society Incorporated. Roma District Family History Society Incorporated should be. Do we have a mover on this? Councillor Edwards. Please go ahead.
I'd like to move that the council approve the request from the Roma District Family History Society Inc. Number 2, provide financial support at the requested cost of $5,000 GST exclusive to be allocated to the council's sponsorship budget, general ledger 2887.2249.2001. Number 3, request the Roma District Family History Society Inc. reflect council's contribution.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition to the motion? Movers to speak to the motion?
I'd just like to say they do a very good job and wish them all the best.
Okay, anyone else like to speak? Righto, we're going to go to the vote. Oh, did you want to speak, Councillor Hancock?
I'm okay, thanks.
Righto. Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 13.2, Regional Pool Report, February 2020.
Will I just wait till it gets to that, or?
No, now you can leave the meeting, you can just declare, or you've already, have you declared,
Yep.
I think, so if you want to say anything, doesn't hurt. So, Councillor Burkett's leaving the meeting. Perceived conflict or conflict of interest. Item 13.2, Regional Pool Report, February 2020. We have a mover, Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council receive the regional swimming pool reports for the Injune Pool, Wallumbilla Pool, Surat Pool, Mitchell Pool, Rome Pool and the Great Artesian Spa for the month of February 2020.
We have a seconder? Yep, Councillor Hancock. Any opposition to the motion? The movers to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
No one else wants to speak. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 8-0.
Mayor, can I just ask that maybe that in terms of reducing the agenda going forward there, that trial, is that the sort of report that the council is happy not to be seen?
Okay, does that need to be a motion?
No, not at all, just highlighting some of these ones that I think that I'll do a report up on a policy on those. I think that's, we were talking about a policy, weren't we? So.
Council happy with that?
Mr Mayor, you're suggesting not to have this in the...
I was just asking, you know, I know you were trying to get the agenda down a bit smaller there. Is that some of these ones there that
I agree with that. I mean, unless it's something that's very sticky that issue or something.
Yeah, issues I can bring back, Mr Mayor, through you, and certainly like with our annual reporting and that sort of stuff on pool numbers, we're going to put all that information in there anyway, so you'll still see that information maybe in our quarterly reports.
So I was going to suggest that, councillors, we are trying to collect statistical report that might, information that might be of interest to you. So more than happy if we can even include it in this quarter if you would like. And then that way you're seeing the information regularly during the course of the year. And then if there are any concerns that the person feels need to be escalated, then we can certainly bring that to you sooner than the quarter.
So, Madam CEO, through you, Mr Mayor, Madam CEO, just would we still see in some form, maybe not in this form, but the maintenance required? Just for instance, I know that the Sprat little pool, the wading pool is up for some maintenance on that, and that's something that the community obviously will bring to me, and so I'd just like to be able to know some of this maintenance stuff, but probably more where we're up to.
If council's happy, we'll give it a trial for this quarter, and just that way you can see what it's going to look like. And then if you're happy with that, then that can be the ongoing.
And we can put those in, like any of those maintenance ones, if you want to progress that and see how they're tracking, probably the best bet is when they come in, we just make sure they're in the CR system, which is our customer request system, with the number. That way council can just click on it and you can actually see, oh, where's that up to, and you can then you have the opportunity to ask the question outside the meeting then. So do that.
Council is happy with that?
Yeah.
So do something, please,
So I think this report won't in future for a trial won't come to council, and we'll be getting, be able to chase up the CRs and stuff. Right. And of course you can ask it, it's 170A at any time if you want to know about something.
So all the maintenance requests, do they happen? Does it, some of them have got a fair few requests in here, like.
Can I speak to that? And can I just speak Wallumbilla Pool, because the Wallumbilla Pool is Education Queensland pool. So where there's requests for air conditioning and requests for additional lighting and requests for thermal blankets, many of these.
Excuse me, Councillor Guthrie, are you employed, no longer employed?
I'm not employed, no, with Wallumbilla. My contract finished on the 3rd of April, so I'm not attached to Wallumbilla anymore. Yeah, that's fair enough. My contract was finished. Just to be mindful that pools, if they are Education Queensland, are subject to Education Queensland planned and unplanned maintenance, etc. So even if a request comes in, it's actually got to meet EQ requirements and processes. So just in response to your question, a lot of these maintenance requests, it's more difficult with a non-council owned pool to actually action.
Is there only one non-council owned pool?
Correct, Mr Mayor, through you, we've just got that one, which is at Wallumbilla, and a lot of those requests are particularly big. We do the maintenance, the smaller maintenance, but those bigger ones, Tanya's team redirect those back through to Education Queensland as a budget request. So.
And through you, Mr Mayor, there is a lot of maintenance in those reports. So the minor maintenance happens just as a matter of course. We have a maintenance budget for each of our pools. So that work gets done. But anything bigger, which is a bigger cost or a bigger project, they actually will get brought up through capital for budget consideration. So at the moment, we're starting to pull together our capital budget for our swimming pools. So a lot of the work in there, you'll see where the note's been made that's going to be for capital consideration. There will be a project proposal brought up for council's consideration saying this is the project, this is why it's required, and this is the amount of money that we expect that the council will consider whether or not to allocate funds in the work budget.
Thank you.
So through you, Mayor, I disagree. I think these reports are vital for councillors. I think we should trial it on a quarterly basis rather than on a monthly basis because of all the facilities that councils looks after across the region. New councillors, you'll find that this is the one that you'll get quite a bit of interest from the community, positive and negative. And I think it is vitally important that councillors have an oversight of what's happening with these facilities. I recognise that it's an onerous task to pull these reports together, so I think we should be trialling on a quarterly basis, but the report itself I think is vital information for us to do our job.
Just one thing with adequate streamlining council, one thing I think it should be is that if we have a time frame to get maintenance issues done, and anything that is outside that time frame, whatever is said, I think that should be highlighted to council, so we're actually knowing about the problems rather than just generally what's happening. Yeah, because I think this was brought to council originally, or this report happened because councillors were unhappy about our maintenance, or they're getting a lot of complaints, as Councillor O'Neill was saying, and that's why this oversight was brought to council. So if we streamline it and say, you have this long to get it fixed and ask the officers for that, then we can really hear about the issues that they can't solve at an officer level, council level, staff level. And then councillors need to be aware of it. So I'm happy with the quarter issue, but I do believe it should be where the council and staff could consider what is a reasonable time frame for maintenance, or that couldn't be achieved, that council hear about it. Obviously sticking ongoing problems. Thanks, CEO.
Councillors may not be aware, but we do have target timeframes across all of our customer requests. So that's not dissimilar to a process. Provided we've got the budget manager, Tanya, then ordinarily that would just flow. But we would escalate if there was a budgetary concern.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what we could do in the quarterly reports is actually identify requests that have come through that need capital consideration. Then council may like to consider that list in their quarterly budget review, and they may wish to at that time allocate funds so those works can happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, and also if the department sets a standard time to get maintenance done, and if you're outside that, I do believe council needs to know about that as well, because that's the ones that are going to really, people are going to be talking about in the community, and they're going to go, I can't believe they haven't fixed that. And they're the ones we need to hear about, because we might help solve some of the issues that at an operational level, budget level, that they can't solve. So,
Mr. Mayor, what's the time frame if someone puts in a complaint? What's the time frame between, you know, getting back to them or getting the job done?
So there's two types of requests, councillor. There's a request for service,
yes,
which someone will come to the counter or write or whatever the case may be and request an action. A lot of people use request and complaint interchangeably, like I've got a complaint about something, but it is actually a request for service. So that how it works is that we have some target timeframes depending on the complexity of the request. So some are very simple and we can do in a matter of hours, or we can do immediately. Other requests are more complex, and therefore they may have different target timeframes, you know, where there's a legal process that sits behind that. A perfect example of one that does need longer timeframes is if there's an overgrown lot, for instance. It's quite a complex process to go through.
Sorry to interrupt, Madam CEO. I just realised that Councillor Burkett's still out of the room.
He's got to be.
Oh, still?
Yeah.
Even though we've already voted on that? We've already voted on the pool report. Sorry, just being, this is stuff that he might want to hear as well, I think. But sorry to interrupt you, please. Sorry.
We'll be involved in the situation there and talk about when the policy comes back. That would be all right. Right, we might see.
Sorry to interrupt. I just realised that we've already voted on the motion that he stepped out, and then we're just having a discussion about.
It's very easily done that we forget someone outside the call.
Please don't lose your train of thought about the overgrown wetlands.
So, can I ask Mr. Mayor? So just, you know, what we're talking about here, so all those things down the right side there, it's getting back to the original question, possibly, when do they get fixed?
Through you, Mayor, if that question's now put and answered, Councillor Burton's going to have to leave the room.
Right.
But
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's a good question. We don't actually get when it just seems maintenance organised, whatever. I'd like us to focus on what is not getting done in the listed time frame, and get that back to council. And capital ones where we don't have any budget for them, so those.
Could I make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor? It's probably a good opportunity for us to come back to, just generally speaking, target timeframes for particular request categories, and then that way the new council can put its stamp on those, make sure that you feel comfortable. If you're asked, then you can confidently reply what that target timeframe is. Now, there may always be situations whereby we can't meet that target for a particular reason. But in those circumstances, it might be that we have a report back to you where we can say, well, these were the targets.
Deputy Mayor, can you take over?
Yeah, we're
I'm
that.
not sure what we're supposed to be talking about, not talking about.
Yeah,
but
just
generally,
to answer your general question.
generally we're given information, which is probably not enough information, but then we're trying to streamline it, so the information we get at the end of it, not to streamline, not to make it too cumbersome.
Yes.
But there's nothing here to tell us anything really, it's just
yes.
advising us on certain things.
Is council comfortable if we come back to you with target timeframes for particular request categories separate to this matter? And then that way council can advise if you feel differently about
I
those
think the
targets.
most enlightened as far as I'm concerned. Factually, get back to that again, I just need to know what's happening.
Yes, so, and if there's anything that council is not comfortable about, then you have the opportunity to vary those targets, and then that gives the officers confidence that they know what they're working towards. And then the mayor used the comment before that, if it's outside those targets, could council know? So once you adopt that, that will give the whole organisation certainty about what the new council's expectations are. Happy to do that, whether that's in the next 1 or 2 meetings.
Anyone else got any more comments on that?
Probably one of those requests, so council, give you an idea, someone like Tanya, she gets about 70 requests a week for maintenance and requests there, so she's doing about probably 3,500 a year. Just because the pool report goes up, we include all those things there as well, but you don't see all the requests we get. We treat them all the same time frame. But that customer request system, once you get your head around that, that's a pretty good document, to see how we're following up with our customers and dealing with their issues. Once you have a chance to have a look at that, I think you'll feel a bit more comfortable with it. And ask, probably raise some questions too. You can ask me why this happened or why hasn't that happened. That customer request program like that. It's a good tracking way. Yeah, keeping us accountable.
And the target might not be met because perhaps we're waiting for an external provider, and sometimes we are subject to timeframes of suppliers or contractors, etc., which is beyond our control. But at least if you know that, then you can respond confidently about what the issue is.
Everyone else right with that one? Yeah. Items number 16.1, I will be laid out on the table for the meeting. All those, I'll take the vote, sorry, all those in favour? 8-0. We go into confidential to start.
I'm happy to move that, Deputy Mayor, if it's cleaner than the Chair doing. I'll move we go into committee.
All those in favour?
I
need a second, sorry for that one, yeah. All those in favour?
And against, Jeff.
Anyone against?
So, Councillor Ladd, did you have want to declare a conflict of interest? Yes. On LC1?
Yes.
LC2? Yeah, so would it be perceived conflict, and how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to leave the room?
Yeah, just leave the room.
Just so we're clear, through you, Mayor, the requirements are that you have to acknowledge the fact you've got a conflict of interest, what the conflict of interest is, and then how you're going to deal with it. And the meeting needs to be informed as to what the conflict is.
So I'm a committee member of the Roma Turf Club, and Oliver Humphries are being rather awesome.
So can we just, they're separate conflict items?
Yes.
LC1 is turf.
So LC1, I'm in the turf committee. Is that all I have to say?
And how will you deal with this matter?
I'll deal with it by leaving the room.
Yep.
And LC2, the family members, so mentioned in the LC2, so I'll just leave the room. Is that it?
Okay,
Happy with that?
thank you.
We're not doing them now, though.
No,
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 not
that's
all
me.
now.
Just had to do that before. We
Okay,
can do all this.
Do that later, and I think you said you had to go
We
to
can go there.
yes.
it later, so.
These are two left.
Okay, so we'll do C1, expressions of interest, adjustment of paddock to Newmont Street, Roma. We have a mover. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that we conduct the ballot draw to decide the successful applicant.
We have a seconder. Councillor Burkett. Any opposition to the motion? Does movers to speak to the motion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. We want to do that now? Okay.
Take it up to us.
You better shake it first.
Fishing thing we pull out one.
Three or
Not actually good to see that.
Oh.
we know what to learn.
I've only got one this time.
Yep, yeah, there's two in the thing. Two. Sarah Holt. Everyone see that, Sarah Holt? Sarah Holt. Okay, does someone want to move on that?
Yeah, do you want to? Just let me.
Read it out now, George, off your computer.
Okay.
I don't know. You're flat. Well, I can't do it, mine's blocked out, I don't know what's going on.
Someone else can move, yeah, councillor
Happy
Hancock.
to move that council enter into a formal licence agreement with Sarah Holt. And that was one. And two, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the licence agreement to keep and graze horses on land described as Lot 2 on RP 101099 for a 6-month period.
Sure, you Mr. Mayor, can I tell something you've got that we can't read? How do we get rid of that? Oh, okay. I can't read.
I move, yeah, I'll.
It covers the resolution, so you can't read it.
And that's why I'll sometimes manually put your names in and do that process.
Do we cancel that?
I didn't like to touch it because I thought it might.
Cancel?
Okay, moving on to C2.
So I moved that. I moved that motion. That's
Oh, you moved that
motion.
one?
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
We've got a seconder, councillor McMullen. Any opposition to the motion? Does move to speak to the motion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, now we can move on. C2, expressions of interest, adjustment of paddock 58 to 62, Stevenson Street, Yulbar. You have a mover. Councillor McMullen.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that council accept Mr. Leslie Ruru's offered amount. 2, enter into a formal licence agreement with Mr. Leslie Ruru. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the licence agreement to keep and graze horses on land described as Lot 1 on Y22137 for a 1-year period.
Have a seconder. Councillor Edwards. Any opposition to the motion? Does movers to speak to the motion?
Nothing.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Good.
No, to get the vote for one before that.
Yes, I just didn't have time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, copy that.
No worries, thank you.
And pop that in there, just,
C3, COVID-19 lease cafes and car hire. I'd like to move that council, in reference to the National Cabinet, National Code of Conduct for commercial leases during the COVID-19 pandemic emergency period, provide Rebecca Swan Trading as Beck Topping Board with 100% waiver of management agreement payments payable under the management fee. Agreement for the Big Rig Cafe backdated to the 23rd of March 2020 for a period of 6 months. Provide A and G Spinks Trading as Cafe 54, 100% waiver of lease payments payable under the lease for the Sale Yards Cafe backdate 23rd of March 2020 for 6 months. Provide A and G Spinks Trading as Cafe 54, a 100% waiver of lease payments payable under the lease for the Airport Cafe backdated 23rd of March 2020 for 6 months. Provide Keltone Pty Ltd 100% waiver of lease payments payable under the lease for the In-June Cafe on 2nd backdated to 23rd of March 2020 for a period of 6 months. Provide Hertz Australia Pty John Day Holdings Pty Ltd trading as Thrifty Car Rentals Strobe Ben Pty Ltd trading as Avis Toowoomba and MH5 Pty Ltd 100% waiver of the lease payments payable under the agreement for the car park licences at the Roma Airport backdated 23rd of March 2020 for a period of 6 months. And that the fee waivers be again reviewed by council in November 2020. We have a second for that motion.
We're just removing part of or as well.
Oh, well, were you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Councillor Mullin was first.
That's easy.
Councillor.
And point 4, Kelly, ending at 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, you just got to put it in brackets there too.
Just here.
For a period of 6 months, full stop. I know that the mayor didn't say that.
No.
So 6 is gone.
Yeah, 6 out of the high.
Well, the old 6 is gone.
Put the 6 back in.
Yeah, from March.
And let's start 6 with review the fee waivers again in
Change that date to 6 months.
You see it?
No.
Yeah.
Not the others.
5 months maybe.
Mr Mayor, can I
make a
make a
suggestion.
suggestion, an amendment?
Sure.
Make a date in November, 1st November, or I don't know when the meetings are, but, you know.
That's longer than 6 months
Yeah, it is.
from March.
So maybe we should say the fee waiver be again reviewed in 5 months' time. Because that's a month before it's going to finish.
Where did 6 months come into it?
Well, see how we've got, I moved November, but 6 months from the end of March is not November. So that's why I say 5 months means we're looking at a month before it's going to finish. I've moved 6 months on everything. So if we say 5 months, then we have a look at it and go, it's all back to normal, hopefully, or as much as we can.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That number 6 starts with review the fee waivers
Yeah.
again.
You're happy with that? Is the second happy with
Yes.
you?
The fee waivers again.
Kel,
5 months time.
Kel, just at the end of number 5, right at the end where you got 6 months, we're just missing the 6 in the brackets.
Yeah, some of them have got it, some of them haven't. That's the number, don't they? 2, 3, no.
Number 6.
Use that twice on calendar 6.
Review the fee waivers.
And then take out the word fee, review the fee waivers again in 5 months, just.
Okay, does anyone who wants any clarification on that motion? Everyone clear on it? Okay, any opposition to the motion? Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Certainly do. COVID-19, probably the biggest challenge for Australia in more than a lifetime, I believe, and council needs to do whatever we can to say people and businesses of the Maranoa that we're here to support you, and this is the first step, I believe, and this is supported in making that very loud and clear. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Would anyone else wish to speak? We go to the vote. All those.
I'll just take Councillor Burkett's point with the consistency with the 6 months.
I think I think you fixed it up. I think.
Going and fixing.
Yeah.
All in there.
Oh, the number 6 as well.
Okay, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C4, commercial tenant leased caravan park. I'd like to move that council, in reference to the National Cabinet, National Code of Conduct for commercial leases during the COVID-19 pandemic emergency period, provide Cashel West Pty Ltd as trustee for Hilly Family Discretionary Trust, 100% waiver of lease payments payable under the commercial lease for the Major Mitchell Caravan Park, backdated to the 22nd of March 2020 for a period of 6 months. And number 2, defer rates and charges for a period of 6 months, and then request the operator enter into a payment plan with no interest, and the payment plan be brought back to council for ratification and approval. Payment plan be brought back for approval of council. And I think I've said everything there. Did I have in there, Kel, to do with interest-free period for the deferring? Can we do that under the policy statement? Come back to it.
There's issue around interest. I'm just looking at the directive at the moment.
Otherwise, I might have to leave that out and have to come back to it. That's
Can you bring it back as part of a policy for COVID and rates?
Yeah, we've not done deferring before, and there are complexities in relation to having having different interest arrangements for different rate payers.
Well, I'm happy to keep the deferring in there, but I'll take out the interest-free part because I think we've got to deal with that separately.
Or would you like to consider that second item with the other matters in the next meeting when we pause?
I believe we've got to do it now because we've got to get certainty. I know these people are under a lot of stress and we've got to watch out for by the time we come back, past the discount period, and we've got to get it in place now, but I understand there will be interest accruing, but we can deal with that next time if we can. But I think we've got to defer the rates so they take the pressure off that they say, at least the rates are deferred, even though they do incur interest.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, may I ask a
Yeah,
question?
sure.
When is the rates deferred to, what did the previous council make the decision? The rates are already pushed back for payment.
5th of May. Yeah, by a month.
5th of May, and our next council meeting is?
Following week.
13th of May.
So, and also, to these people that have just basically lost nearly all their business, to know that they have actually deferred their rates is a big weight off them, even though we haven't solved the issue of the interest. But at least we can say, you don't have to worry about the rates for 6 months, and we have to bring back some policies, no doubt.
So can I just check this with the payment it's got with no interest?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that out because I don't think we can do that, can we? So I'll just take out with no interest because that's not achievable under our policy or our, and rates, council is also state government. They set the rules, so we've got to be careful what we do.
And that would be brought with an R?
Yep. I'm glad we brought it back because the big thing I think through this COVID-19 is we've got to ask people what can they afford and then see if we'll accept it rather than we tell them what they need to pay coming out of it. So, is this clear, councillors, that know what we're deciding on?
Mr. Mayor, just my question will be with some of the other ones that are coming up next. My understanding was that we were laying them on the table until we discuss and debate and formulate a policy. Well, if we're just about to set a precedent, aren't we, by doing one deferment when we are on all the other requests going to lay them on the table until we've formulated the policy?
Certainly, because we're hitting that due date, I do believe we have to do this, and I'm certainly asking for the policy to come back to the next meeting and we will set it. But I think it's very clear the 6 months is like basically coming from National Cabinet to give people 6 months to defer things. So that's a very standard that I don't know. It'll be interesting if council changes from that, and I think that's what's considered reasonable, so I don't think it will change, but it's up to individual councillors.
Well, Mr. Mayor, my question wasn't about the specifics of it. I get the 6 months, it's that just foreshadowing the other ones are likely to be laid on the table. I'm just wondering how we can do that if we are going to support the resolution that you've put forward.
Well, I believe the ones to do with rates need to be dealt with today, and then ask for the policy to come back, because we'll get a lot more, but we need to, because we're going to be incurring, we need to push it and have a fee waiver before the due date. This is an opportunity to do this. So I think it needs to be done today. If we had more time, we could do that. Okay, and we had a seconder for that? Yep, so any opposition to the motion?
Sorry, who was the seconder, Mr. Mayor?
Do we have a second?
I don't need to call for a second.
Okay, I'll call for a second. Who would anyone like to second this? Councillor Edwards. Any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? There again, I believe this is sending a major signal to the community that COVID-19 means that council is setting a direction and we will be to be able to help through this, and it's very important that that this is something that Councillor Edwards, just adding something to this, if we can still add something to the motion. Yeah. I would like to put in there if the operators can show financial hardship. Would the seconder be happy to put that in there as well?
Sorry, Mayor Golder, what?
Yeah, so just basically to say on the second part, is rates and charges that we would be deferring this on the basis of financial hardship. If they show financial hardship.
Yes.
You have
Mayor Golder, yes.
So if we can just add that in the second part, please.
In the tail end of dot point 1.
Yeah, well, it's probably number 2 is the one where we have to do it as part of the policy. So it's to do with the rates and charges. The other one, I think we can just decide to do.
Yeah, it's a carve-out as opposed to a replication.
So just with relation to that, Mr Mayor, how will that process play out?
Well, generally, the staff would contact them and say we need to see some financial hardship to be able to defer your rates, and they would send through in the past, I think it's been an ATO statement, or it's been some evidence of financial hardship.
And so who makes that the decision, council or
staff? It goes to the
staff?
staff, and sometimes it comes back, doesn't it, to council, or whether the staff just, so I would believe if it just goes to the staff, and if they have concerns with it, they bring it back, and if they didn't, they see that the motion has been fulfilled. Because we can do financial hardship as one of the reasons.
To grant a hardship concession, the matter will need to come back to council.
Right, okay. I'm happy with that. But this is sending a signal that this is what council's offering if this is supported. Okay? So basically this sends a signal, and I believe this is how we get the people of Maranoa and businesses through an event such as this, which is unprecedented. So I'm looking forward to if this is supported.
So, Mr Mayor, just on point 2, should that be defer the rates for a period of 6 months subject to the operators demonstrating financial hardship?
Yeah.
And so then would you put a time frame on that, maybe the day before the rates are due? Which is another 10 days, I think, is it?
I'm happy with that. Is the seconder happy with that? Okay. Now, anyone else like to speak?
What was that final point?
Just finding that for you, Phil.
The rates are
Well, rates are due on the 5th, so it'll be Monday the 4th of May.
So where are we putting that?
Subject to the operators demonstrating financial hardship by close of business on Monday the 4th of
That's a public holiday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Friday,
Oh, it is too.
okay.
May Day.
So then it'd be Friday the 1st of May then.
Friday the 1st of May, that's cool. Is the seconder happy with Friday the 1st of May? Yeah.
And request that the operator enter into a payment plan. When are they entering? They're just going to enter into that after the 6 months, Mr Mayor?
Yeah, well, you could put a date in there if you want to, I don't mind, but it's just signalling to them that they'll have to get a payment plan and get it back to council, so.
That'd
anyone like to speak for or against the motion? Okay, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C5, COVID-19 Community Organisation Tax. Do we have a mover? Yeah, Councillor Hancock.
I move that council, in recognition of the current COVID-19 restrictions, waive applicable high fees payable by the, number one, Roma Performing Arts Society, the Silversmiths Roma Group Inc., Roma Pottery Group Inc., Roma Arts and Ceramics, Maranoa Artists and Roma Patchwork and Crafters Inc. for use of the Roma on Bungle Community Arts Studios as outlined in tenancy agreements between each of the groups and council. The fee waiver to be backdated to 26 March 2020 and be in place for 4 weeks after a directive is received that the group's activities are able to commence. And 2, Roma Roadrunners for use of the wall display area storage room at Bassett Park as outlined in the tenancy agreement between the group and council with the fee waiver to be backdated to 23rd March 2020 and be in place until 4 weeks after a directive is received that the group's activities are able to commence. Recommence. Sorry, recommence.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
Just, Mr Mayor, that I think it's a great way of supporting our community organisations in these tough times.
Okay, well on that note, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item C6, request waiver, I would imagine it would be, of debt recovery legal fees. And I would like to move that council waive the debt recovery legal fees of $629.20 on receipt of a statutory debt stating that the ratepayer did not receive the rates notices in question, and request that the rates recovery policy come back to a future council meeting for discussion. We have a seconder for that motion. Okay, Councillor McMillan. Any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion? I certainly do. I do believe we need some improvement in our debt recovery policy, and certainly working on the positive attributes, but also fine-tuning it for the ability to keep costs down for the ratepayers of the Maranoa and still collect rates when applicable. And I believe this is even more important now that we're dealing with this massive challenge to the whole world of COVID-19. Would anyone like to speak for or against the motion?
Just would like to speak, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
please, you're welcome.
I'm just wondering where you got that figure from, because according to the report, it's $659.26, and then even if you take off the discount of $33.72, my calculation says it's $625.54. So I'm just.
Yeah, sure. What is your figure, please?
I would like it to be checked by the appropriate staff, but $625.54 is taking off the discount.
Page 77. Well, 6.
It
It says 629 over here on 76, but it's 77.
It says 659.26
659.
with the discount 33.72.
On the debt recovery report, it's got issue fee 197.04, 380.17, 51.55.
In the
On the debt recovery report.
Which one do we think is the right one?
It's 629.29 if it pays a bit more than 50.
329.29 is the sorry.
Is that correct,
Facilities fees.
Director? Of the total amount owing?
There is the amount of the debt recovery legal fees, but there's also the discount that is still on as well. So that's implicated.
So six,
I have
there's a,
the current amount owing of $659.26.
I think the 629.29 is in actual his letter, so maybe he's messed it up. That's where that figure is. Legal costs of 629.29 had been added to the rates. But that's off his letter.
Another 9 cents it is, but
Yeah, no, with the 9 cents, I'm happy to change it. I'll be right.
So it should be this one, shouldn't it?
So is it 629.29?
Yeah, that's it.
I've got a calculator.
Page 76, it does quote $629.29.
That's it.
Yeah, but in his letter, he's quoted the wrong figure.
So Councillor Hancock, does that answer your question?
What figure are we coming up with? Because
Well, I'm happy to move on 629.29. The second is happy with that.
But that's a,
So is that $659.26, take $33.72? Is that correct?
well, in the council information, it's got 659.26 with the discount available at 33.72.
That's what I'm
The other figure come from his letter that he might have got wrong, because I'd like to think we got it right.
I think, sorry, can I speak?
Yes,
I think it's going to stick to the 629.29, really. Because they're the costs. That's what
Oh, it's in the table, is it?
That's what he's trying to. He doesn't want to pay the legal costs. That's what he's saying.
The only reason I'm raising this is it's less than what we have, and I don't want there to be a leftover still owing. That's the only reason I'm raising that we get the figure correct.
Sort of says that's what you refund more, whatever, 629.29.
But, well, I'm happy to move on 629.29. It may be slightly incorrect, but that's what he's asked for.
Well, that's the fee.
That's what the fee.
And while I was speaking, Mr. Mayor, I'm just a bit concerned that with the motion on the table that we're setting precedents before, as a council, a new council, we come together and form a policy, which I agree needs to be looked at regarding our rates and charges and the timing of recovery. So I'm just a bit concerned we're making a decision on something that's prior to the new council.
But we have done it before, just so for your benefit, Councillor Hancock, your statutory debts have been used before because it's a legal document, so people have to, it's a serious document to sign. It's not letting anyone off. And because we're hitting that date of the 5th of May, whatever it is for things, I believe this needs to be dealt with. So, but I totally understand, and I would be, and that's why I put it there for the report to be brought back, so we do have a policy. Any other one? Councillors?
Rate payers one.
Sorry, I can't hear that.
Yeah, so one word for rate payer and then couple of senior council here.
It's better with yellow one. Okay, so no one else wants to speak. Let's go to the vote.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just
Sure.
noticed a council request. is that the correct title of?
Yes, it is. Correct.
Righto, so no other, anything else? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Carried 6-3, if I can call for a division.
Mr Mayor, could I just confirm who was against?
Councillor O'Neill, Councillor Hancock, Councillor Taylor.
Sure, we might just have a break for a couple of minutes. Okay, C7, waiver of rates for 12 months for assessment number 12001186 and 12002945. I would like to move that council defer the rates and charges for a period of, I'll actually start with, I'd like to offer that council offer to defer the rates and charges for a period of 6 months on receipt of evidence of financial hardship and request a payment plan be submitted for the period after the 6 months for rates and charges for approval of council. So basically what I'm saying there is I'm moving that council offer to defer the rates and charges for a period of 6 months on receipt of evidence of financial hardship and request that a payment arrangement be submitted for the period after the 6 months for rates and charges to be approved by council. Payment arrangement.
It's changed a couple of times and we've read it this
Right.
morning, so.
So what have we got there now? Yeah, please,
Sorry.
ask the question.
At the end of the 6 months, not after.
Yeah, at the end of the 6 months, yes.
Kel, would you mind scrolling down so when you're ready, just when you're ready, just so we can see the other page? Thank you.
Yeah, so just going up in the second one there, it said request a payment arrangement. It's submitted at the end of 6 months.
So this still gives us time to, at the next meeting, change the policy.
Yeah, correct.
And is it at the end or before the end of?
Well, maybe it should be before the end of 6 months, yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Before.
Before, where's Kel? Before the end of 6 months. Okay, is that clear to everyone?
So this has been paid for.
Yeah, she paid, yeah.
And do we have a second for that motion? Councillor Edwards. Would anyone like to speak to the motion? I'll speak first. There again, another situation with COVID-19 and the response. I believe if this is supported, this is a reasonable precedent that would be set. We also have situations where we have that ratepayers have to get through the next 6 months. So, yeah, we understand they're under a lot of financial strain. And this is a way to be fair based on financial hardship and the ratepayer, as in this case, would have to provide evidence, which also means that council still has sound financial management in regards to trying to balance its books. Would anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll be speaking against the motion before us due to the information that's been presented in the report and a further verbal update that we've received on this particular matter. I think it would be more prudent that it lays on the table until the next general meeting of council. There are no time pressures on this particular item. And we could address this after having a free and frank and open discussion on what the policy setting should be for this term of council.
Would anyone wish else to speak? Please go ahead.
Well, I just don't think, I thought we were going to lay it on the table because it was about the policy as well. And this has already been paid, these rates, so I don't see why we're in a hurry with this one.
I can answer that. Councillor, if we defer it now, the ratepayer will have paid it before the date, and I would imagine it will be sitting there as a credit, which is, it may well help with liquidity issues because it is not the due date. But if we leave till after the next due date, I believe then it will actually have been considered to have been paid, and I believe there's an opportunity. And also taking into note that the request was for 12 months, and I believe that 6 months is reasonable, and we've got to sort of get people to transit out of this, and I believe the fact that the ratepayer has paid it, we don't know their financial situation, so.
So you're going to give the money back?
It will, like, if we do this today and defer the rates, there will be a credit on the account of the.
Which means it will go to the rates next time.
Correct.
So you're not really helping it this time.
Well, but then there will be actually liquidity that they can, or they could actually ask to have a refund.
So is that an option?
I'll ask the CEO or the director. If there is rates paid and you're in credit, can you ask for a refund?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion?
I agree with Councillor Taylor that there is no rush to make this decision based on the fact that this has already been paid. And so, as a new councillor, I'd like to have a look at the rates policy as well.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? And that was carried 5-4, if I can call for a division.
Mr Mayor,
Yeah.
Correct. All those against?
Yes, so who was against was Councillor Taylor, Councillor Hancock, Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Burkett. Okay, moving on to C8, outstanding rates and charges, monthly update, March 2020. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
Oh, I can, yeah.
Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that the council receive and note the officer report as presented.
We have a seconder for that motion. Councillor Hancock. Any opposition to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
I just want to know that you're not interested in having that as part of any information part of the fully review.
What we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is an option if you wanted to
Don't see why not.
include it as part of that quarterly reporting.
So we just add into the quarterly report. Yep. Sorry, I didn't read that.
Are you happy with that?
Yes, sorry. Do you want me to redo the motion? And for item C8, I'd like to council receive and note the officer's report as presented, and number 2, in future this report be incorporated into council's quarterly reporting process.
Okay, now is the seconder happy with that?
Yes, I am, Mr Mayor.
Right, we'll go to the vote then. All those in favour? 9-0.
I need to look at that screen.
Yeah.
C9, request for deferment of rates for 6-month period, assessment number 1401281. I would like to move that council agrees to defer the payment of rates for a period of 6 months from the date of the request, provided that the ratepayer shows evidence of financial hardship, and request from the ratepayer a new payment arrangement commencing new payment arrangement brought back to council for approval before the end of the deferment.
Before the end of when, sorry, Mr Mayor?
Before the end of the 6-month deferment, or whatever, if you want to put it a different way. Happy with that. Okay, everyone understand what we've got there? Sure.
Do you need the new payment plan arrangement?
Yeah, we can call it that. Happy with that. New payment
Payment arrangement, it's
arrangement.
I think, is that the wording?
That's what you put to us.
Payment arrangement. The date, I think the mayor said, council.
Well, I've got a date in here, a date of the request.
The council agree with RPS to defer payment of rates for a period of 6 months from the date of the request, provided that the rate conditions payment arrangement to be brought back to and that should that be in that will be brought back and that will be brought back to.
Yeah.
So it's agreed.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And that will be brought back to.
Yep. Okay, and do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition to the motion? Does anyone want to speak to the motion? Certainly will. I think this is another evidence of the Maranoa being very positive and getting on the front foot about helping ratepayers through this troubling time. And I believe if this is supported, we're making a very strong statement as council. Okay, so does anyone else wish to speak?
I'd like to also suggest that what we are showing here is a consistency of approach, that the approach for for this one as well as previous of the recommendations or of the requests have been transparent, very, very clear.
Okay, no one else wishes to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? So that is 6-3, if I can call for a division. Page 106. I've got it right. C10, request to deferment of rate payment for 6 months on assessment number 140000384 and 150128118 and 150122826. And I would like to move that council agrees to defer the payment of rates for 6 months from the date of request and propose, no, actually, then I'll just stop that, I'll go back. Date of the request and request from the ratepayer a payment arrangement before the end of the 6 months to be approved by council. Request for a payment arrangement to be submitted to council, I should say, before the end of 6 months for payment arrangement.
Sorry, 6 months, and I just missed the last part.
Before the end of 6 months for a payment arrangement to be submitted to council.
Sorry, you've already got it, Cal. It says from a payment arrangement to be submitted to council before the end. You just need to get rid of the first before the end of six months in the middle sentence. Council agree to defer the date of request, a request from the ratepayer payment arrangement. Take out the before the end of 6 months. To be submitted to council before the end of 6 months, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
And Cal, when you have time, if you could just scroll down the page again, please.
And then just take, sorry, Cal, just before we go, it's agreed, the council agreed to defer. And single ratepayer one word. And the date. First line.
Sorry?
First line. From the date of the request.
Thanks, Cal.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. So, do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor O'Neill, any opposition to the motion? Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Please go ahead, Councillor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I second this motion and I support it because here is a business that is directly impacted by COVID-19. I am not going to disclose the business due to the confidential nature of it, but I recognise that this is a business that has ceased trading because of the impact of the virus, and on that basis, I'm happy to support the motion.
And also for the fact that they've always paid their rates.
Well said, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, and I'll speak to the motion too. I believe this is another example of council getting on the front foot and supporting businesses that have been directly affected by COVID-19. And even I believe if this is supported, this sets a precedent that is easily defendable. Anybody else wish to speak?
No, Mr. Mayor, just a query, Mr.
Sure.
Mayor, just to keep it same as the others we've previously done. Previously, we've asked them to submit financial hardship.
Sure, I can talk to that.
So I'm not sure. I'm just raising it because we've done that previously. So I'm just raising it.
So the only thing was because I'm aware the business has had to shut completely. That was why I sort of have a separate category for them, as Councillor O'Neill had said. So, you know, the others, you know, financial hardship because of a show or whatever. So that's what I was sort of doing that. But, yeah, Councillor O'Neill, what do you think about that?
If people feel more, if councillors feel more comfortable about including it, then I'm happy to support including that in the motion, but it's your motion.
Yeah, well, I was probably having another category that was directly 100% affected, or nearly, maybe not quite 100, but pretty close. But I'm happy to put that in there if councillors are more comfortable.
I don't think they need it.
I don't think so either.
Right, okay, we'll go with what we got. And we'll, anyone else like to speak?
But could I add, Mr. Mayor, if a councillor felt strongly about any point of a motion, they could in fact move an amendment. Given that the mover didn't accept it, you could test the room to see if there was appetite to do that's been suggested.
Yes, good point, Councillor O'Neill. Did you want to test that, or?
I'm very happy with your response, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to draw our attention to it, keeping some room.
Okay. Righto, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C11, request for temporary relaxation of extra pedestal charges, assessment number 120000956. I would like to move that council defer the extra pedestal charges on assessment number 120000956 for a period of 6 months on receipt of evidence of hardship, and request from the ratepayer a payment arrangement be brought back to council before the end of the 6-month deferral period. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Bill, did you want a bit of time?
Could you just after the evidence of hardship, if you could just repeat that last bit there for me.
Yes, and request of the ratepayer, request of the ratepayer, payment arrangement be submitted to council before the end of the deferred period.
Just to be consistent, Mr. Mayor, should it read that council defer the extra pedestal charges for a period of 6 months, subject to the evidence of financial hardship being provided.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Financial hardship. Sorry, can you just clarify the second part of the resolution?
Request of the rate payment arrangement be submitted to council before the end of the deferred period, we should say. What afterwards? Or after the period, sorry.
What do we have on
What do
there?
what do we have on the other one?
On the last one we did the same, didn't we? Can we scroll up? Not the one before, I think it was.
No, that's
it
the
the
same, and request from the ratepayer.
Sorry, payment arrangement.
And request from
So probably just need to clarify that that in the earlier ones that was submitted to council for approval. So these ones, these ones are just that opinion. Is it up to the ratepayer just to advise council?
Yeah, like what they can afford, and then council.
That's
Should we put in there subject back to
for
council?
yeah, they've stopped
for
having any sort of approval process.
Yeah, yeah, we need to do that. I can go back to that.
No, we can't go backwards.
No, we'll get the wording for this one out.
Kelly, the other one says and request from the ratepayer. And request from.
Because the idea generally is that they will propose a payment
Instead of.
arrangement, and then that's submitted to council for approval, so it's a multi-step process.
So you'd like to think they'd get back to us before next meeting so we can.
But at the moment, it's before the end of the deferred period.
So you probably need to be near the end of the third period to know what they can afford to pay afterwards, because they won't know their costs.
Yeah.
Council defer the extra payment for a period of 6 months, subject to receipt of evidence of financial hardship or request for that pay. Arranged to be submitted to council for approval.
Yep.
So how many of the previous ones don't have approval?
I think it's only that last one.
I think they're all approved.
Or approval before the end of the deferred period. Council defer the extra penalty for a period of 6 months, subject to receipt of evidence of financial hardship and request from the ratepayer payment arrangement to be submitted to council.
So you've just said
to be submitted to council, or we can say if you want to name it.
Yeah, it's a request from the ratepayer, a payment arrangement be submitted to council for approval before the end of the 6
clause, and then we need to say 6-month period for after the deferral. We need to say it's ongoing. Approval for the end of the 6-month period. For repayment of deferred charges. Before the end of the 6 months for repayment of deferred charges. Moving forward, maybe, or something like that.
Payment.
Well, it's for application of the consideration, isn't it? It's to actually have the consideration enacted or to have it applied.
Just in the motion, it's got to say what's the payment plan for? It's for the repayment, or it's moving forward.
Should we just move that up there, Mr Mayor, and request from the ratepayer a payment arrangement for repayment of deferred charges be submitted to council? We're saying what?
Ideally, it should be a proposed payment arrangement.
Yeah, proposed.
Yep.
I'll do that.
Where are we putting that?
After arrangement. Cal?
After I proposed.
Arrangement.
I proposed,
What are we saying there?
Arrangement for repayment of deferred charges. To be submitted. And
But you need your proposed.
yeah, and
word.
where do you put in your proposed word?
For payment.
Request from the ratepayer, a proposed payment arrangement. Proposed payment for, and they haven't paid it, so it's for payment of deferred charges. To be submitted to council for approval before the end of the 6-month period, and then that will stop. So the normal process is that the ratepayer proposes, council considers that, and it's not a approved arrangement until both parties agree.
Right, okay, so no questions?
I just have a question. I just have one
Please.
question. Madam CEO, can we legally do this? Can we legally defer charges on extra pedestal?
I'm just looking at Director Frank as well about that.
Yes, yes, we can. It's just not in our current.
But we've done it before, so it's sort of uncharted territory.
I think if we could do it on any basis, it would be financial hardship.
That is in the concession
Yes.
for payment of rates or charges will cause hardship to the landowner.
Yeah, so that's why we're doing it. So we're keeping it pretty tight. They've got to prove it. So
That's right, Paul's back in their court.
okay, anyone like to speak to the motion? I would like to speak and say, really concerned about losing businesses. The business was pretty tough before this, and this, I believe, is just like a massive knock sideways. So the more that we can do, I believe the Prime Minister's been considered to have really done a good job of giving confidence to Australia with some of the initiatives the federal government's done and the state government, and I certainly believe we can do our part by this is passed to help the people of business of Maranoa. Okay, so anyone else wish to speak? If not, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, C12. C12, page 124. We wait for the council, do you think?
It's not normal practice.
No, so C12, dispute of water access infrastructure charge, assessment number 13002738. I just have a question to, a question on, did we work out, is there a way to be able to do if council wish to do a rebate on this one to the director? Sharon?
A rebate?
Yeah.
I haven't considered that.
So
Or CEO, sorry.
I think the advice was that the charges are legitimate charge in accordance with the revenue statement, but there was going to be your proposal was to have a concession based on financial hardship.
Oh, we could deem that.
So the council, in accordance with Local Government Regulation 2012, section 121C, grant a concession, and that the concessions.
Yeah, please.
The concessions stay in place for the current property owner. Home concession is not transferable if the property is to.
Okay.
If the property is sold to another party.
Yeah. Right. Yep. No, thank you. That's the information. Yep. I'd like to move that council, in accordance with the Local Government Regulation 2012, section 121C, grant a concession. Does that actually give the reason?
It doesn't explain.
C was
A reason.
C was a hardship concession.
Right, cool. Number 2, the concession stay in place for the current property owner, i.e. the concession is not transferable if the property is sold to another party.
Is it sold or transferred? So you've got the not transferable, so there's going to be a financial transaction that the property gets sold. So for example, if he dies, his wife continues to receive the hardship.
Yeah.
But what if he, say for argument's sake, they in the will it's left to their son? Would that still be?
Could we say the concession is some words might be attributable to the current owner only?
Owners,
That's a bit
something to that effect.
Yep.
So if the property is made available to any other party, like made available to any other party, this applies to this particular person, this particular ratepayer is the only person who should get the benefit of
the current ratepayer.
Ratepayers.
Ratepayers.
Yeah, current ratepayer. Or some.
Well, there's only one, you can sit in his home, there's no wife. But it's not in the wording.
But if that land was made available to another person.
It could be simply that the concession is provided to the current owner only.
Yeah.
That expires if the property is otherwise.
Can't be made available to anyone else, basically.
Well, if we say current owners, because I think there might be a husband and wife.
No, it's not.
Is she
Well, the rates are only
Well, the rate
for
knows.
him.
No, no, just in, you know how sometimes it's in just one person's name?
There is a lot.
Yes,
There is a lot.
so it could cause another issue if it's,
And extinguishers. And is extinguished. The property is transferred. And I think you'll put or otherwise used. And so if it was
A
leased,
lease arrangement or something like that.
well, what's council's position on that?
well, I'd just like to see it for the current owners,
Yeah.
meaning, and that's it. So how do we do that?
Don't confuse it anymore.
That is provided to the current owners only. Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop, yeah.
Is that what you?
Yep. Yeah, I think so, because, you know, you can lose your partner and have to change your owners, but that'll still work. Yeah.
Saying to delete.
Okay, I'd like to move that. Would anyone like to second that? Councillor McMullen, any opposition to the motion? Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? I will. I have certainly understood the complexities of this. I can say I don't think this is one that we will still see very often, and it is solving a problem that is causing great angst to the ratepayer. And I believe that this is a way that we today, if we support this, will have solved the problem for council. Would anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Well, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? If I can call for a division, 8-1. C13, page 138, Roma Cemetery, request to install street bollards. We have a mover, Councillor McMahon.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that, when the thing stops moving, that one, the matter lay on the table for further consideration at the next meeting on the 13th of May 2020 to allow officers additional time to investigate potential installation options and associated costs, and two, in the interim, a letter be provided to the resident by the way of update. Was there?
And just not the apostrophe to allow officers, plural.
I'm happy to second that.
Mr Mayor, oh, okay, so one person did write about it. No, sorry, that's right.
Happy to second that. Is there any opposition to the motion? Does anyone wish to speak to the motion?
No, right, thanks.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Page 144, C14. Request for quote, SCADA upgrade project, system integration consultancy. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council select Safe Group Automation Proprietary Limited as the recommended supplier for supervisory control and data acquisition. Upgrade project systems integration consultancy, noting the tendered value of $498,547.34, including GST, and two, authorise the CEO or delegate to enter into the final negotiations with Safe Group Automation Proprietary Limited to form a contract to perform the consultancy if the final terms are acceptable.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor, Councillor Guthrie. Now, is there any opposition to the motion? Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
I do not.
Righto. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C15, page 176. C15, request for reduced trading terms. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that council approve the requested reduction in trading terms from 28 days to 14 days for any invoices submitted by creditor 14959.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edwards is first. Is there any opposition to the motion? Does the member wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. C16, Roma flood mitigation, stage 2, request for extension of time for project completion. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move that council authorise the CEO to prepare and sign a funding agreement variation to the Department of State Development, Manufacturing, Infrastructure and Planning to extend the project completion date for the Roma Flood Mitigation Project Stage 2 to the 15th of December 2020. And 2, council has undertaken an on-site inspection to familiarise themselves with the project.
We have a seconder. Councillor Burkett.
Can I just clarify, would you like officers to attend that? Do you have a preference for when that occurs?
Well, when it can be arranged that the whole council is available.
Okay.
Tomorrow's too early.
It is.
And I believe it will be beneficial to have the officers there because they actually have the in-depth knowledge of the project. So
I'll amend that to councillors and officers undertake.
To familiarise councillors with the project.
Mm-hmm. Would you put relevant officers? So we don't have a conflict in the area there?
To familiarise councillors with the job. Councillors. And I think something, was it you, Councillor Burke?
No, I was just saying relevant officers.
I'm just happy with officers.
Yeah. Bit of tongue in cheek there, sorry.
You happy with that, seconder? With what's up there?
Yeah.
Righto. And any opposition to that? Does the member wish to speak to that?
Just to say, Mr Mayor, that this is and continues to be a key project that we've partnered with other levels of government to be able to achieve. This has now traversed 3 terms of council, and I think it is more than appropriate that all councillors are on site to understand the issues here, because whilst we are continuing to address the flood mitigation in Roma, there are clearly other areas of our shire that need to be addressed as well, and I look forward to being on site with the new councillors to see firsthand the works that will be undertaken.
Okay, so on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Councillor Ladd, did you need to go? So that's fine.
You're leaving the room.
Well, Mr Mayor, you're going to call those items, aren't you?
Well, I think we've done that and you declared it conflict. So we're going to go and close now and do them. So I think, Councillor Adlock has to go to an appointment, so he's leaving for the afternoon.
All right, okay.
Yep.
That's what we have.
So we've done that. He's declared one, but he won't be here.
So you're calling the item and I'll...
Yeah, but I just thought he's got a fair way to travel, so I just wanted to make sure he knew he could go.
So she's all good. We've got to move it, Mr Mayor.
We're going to go to close, aren't we?
The Mayor has to call the item first.
No, but he's leaving anyway.
And we've already declared the conflict.
Yeah, no, just as soon as you say LC1, someone can move that we go into committee.
Right, gotcha. LC1, request to use the Maranoa Parenting Bean for COVID-19 temperature testing outside the Maranoa.
Sorry, we just need to wait for Councillor Ladbrook to go.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ladbrook.
Thank you.
Safe travel.
Yep.
Hope it doesn't hurt too much.
So, Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move into committee. Move that we move into.
Wait a second. Yeah, Councillor Hancock, all those in favour? 8-0. Use of the Maranoa Parenting Bean for COVID-19 temperature testing outside the Maranoa region. Well, I'd like to actually move that Council decline the request from the applicant because the parenting bean, as per agreement, cannot go outside the Maranoa region. That is correct, isn't it, CEO? Oh, that's correct, Deputy CEO. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Neill. Does anyone want to speak for or against the motion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. And whoever move the next one, I'm happy to, but I believe it would be good to reference the next slide is. Okay, LC2, unnamed section of road of Humphreys Road. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 receive and note the information report as presented, and 2, note that a subsequent report is planned to be tabled to the ordinary meeting of Council on the 13th of May 2020 regarding the matter.
We have a seconder, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition to the motion?
Oh, just a question. Do we have to just send a letter back explaining situations that got to be in the thing, or that's
I
just?
think it should be, yeah. Is the mover happy if we send a letter?
And thirdly, that a correspondence be sent to the individuals.
Sorry, they,
3 and 4.
so which is just the person who.
Correct.
To who, sorry?
Send correspondence to the relevant persons.
Yeah.
Persons, did you say?
Persons, I think it was a solicitor and.
Well, did you say person or persons?
I did say plural.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's right. I didn't hear the yes. That's
Parties or
Persons.
one persons, whatever.
Whatever people are happy with. I like people.
So I guess it's unclear, it's to both brothers?
yeah, do both.
Both sides, basically.
Is and a solicitor as well.
Thank you.
Deputy Director, does that make sense to you, or?
That's fine, Mr Mayor.
Okay. Okay, so we have a mover, is the seconder happy with that? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone want to speak to it? No, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour, 8-0. Is there any further business, council?
There is one left on the table, Mr Mayor. That's your report to council.
Do you have
Which one?
I know where it is.
16.
16.
I took over when you left the room and I didn't bring it.
What page number, please?
94, last page.
16.1, review of report deadlines to ordinary meetings. I'd like to move the report be prepared for an ordinary meeting on the 13th of May 2020. Do we have a second for that? Councillor McMullen. Any opposition to that? No one wants to speak to that. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Is there any further business, councillors? Well, on that note, I'll close the meeting at 9:27 PM, and thank you for your attendance.